Good morning, everybody. It is Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's video, we got another enhanced risk for severe weather, which was issued on day 3. And we even have another site risk for severe weather that could upgrade to an enhanced risk before tomorrow or even tomorrow. So we'll have to really watch both of these severe weather threats very closely, and we still have this severe weather threat continuing till 7 a.m. today Central Time. So if you guys do live on the East Coast, this will likely continue to most likely 7 or even 8 a.m. this morning. So we'll have to still watch for maybe some severe alerts, but we're not really expecting much in the way of that anymore. But we're going to go ahead and just focus on day 2 and 3, and this one heads from Thursday into Friday. That's when the site risk will be on. And now you guys see it does include a pretty big area actually, and it actually does include places like Alexandria heading into Jackson, Little Rock, and then back through portions of Texas. The main threat will be tornadoes and wind. The hail threat is a 15% chance as well. It's just not as widespread, so I don't think it will be as big of a concern. But I would still watch for some significant hail, even though you are in a 5%. I would still watch for some hail mixed with those damaging winds and tornadoes. So still be aware about some large hail if you do live in Alexandria. And like I said, I know you're not included in the 15%, but I do think there will still be a pretty good chance for some hail. So make sure to be aware of that and even keep that in mind too as well. And then look on day 3. This heads from Friday into Saturday. Okay, Friday into Saturday, we actually do have an enhanced risk for severe weather across North Carolina, heading into much of South Carolina, back through central Georgia and into Alabama. They haven't issued the hazard yet, but we will still have to see what the hazards are, and I assume it's going to be one of those significant tornado threats again. And then look at this marginal risk, guys. Areas of the lower Ohio Valley haven't really seen a marginal risk for quite a while. Look at that. This extends all the way up into portions of southern Indiana, at least the very extreme portion of southern Indiana, and it even includes this populated city, Louisville. And we'll talk about that we'll talk about this in a second, but we actually do have a marginal risk for flash flooding across this area, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this marginal risk that extended into places like Evansville, maybe even Illinois heading into Ohio, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this get extended farther north into more cities like that. So we'll have to watch very closely, and then as you guys see, there's no more days of significant severe weather, but we'll still see if they choose to issue some, but at least we're just gonna be focusing on these two for right now, so make sure to keep that in mind. And now we're gonna go ahead and look at your guys' excessive rainfall outlooks on day 1, which is today. This heads from Wednesday into Thursday, and as you guys see, we do have a slight risk for flash flooding across Maine. This doesn't include the capital of Maine, but it does include much of the coast of Maine, at least the east coast of Maine, so we'll have to really watch closely for a little flooding today. I'm assuming some of those waves will come onto shore due to those high winds across that area, and I probably should have told you guys this, but lots of the winds across this area have been gusting as high as 70 miles per hour during yesterday's hours, so I mean, it's a pretty significant wind event across these areas. I'm just gonna say I don't really talk about them because I don't like my videos getting super long, but I mean, I'm letting you guys know now, so if you guys are wondering about high winds, they're probably already across the entire East Coast as of right now, so we will likely see some of those waves come onto shore on Maine and likely cause some of those minor flooding issues and stuff like that. And now on day 2, we do have a marginal risk for flash flooding across places like Little Rock, getting into Missouri, and then even Illinois, even extreme portions of western Kentucky, and as well as western Tennessee. It sounds like a little bit of Illinois too is included in that. I probably already said that, but I mean, we'll have to still watch for some pretty decent flash flooding. And then look what happens next, guys. And like I said during the severe weather outlook, I wouldn't be surprised to see that marginal risk extend more north, and that's mainly due to this marginal risk for flash flooding. And I mean, this could or the marginal risk could get extended as far north as Indianapolis, but we'll have to see though. And I mean, we got a day or two to change that threat, so we'll watch closely and see what changes with that. And then back over here in the parts of New England, we do have a slight risk for flash flooding across the capital of Connecticut, heading into Providence, Rhode Island, back through Pennsylvania, at least the Philadelphia area, and then into New York. So we'll have to really watch very closely. This even heads into a little bit of Maryland. This does include Baltimore, so if you guys do live in those areas, I would definitely be on high alert. And same goes for this area, guys. The Ohio Valley could see its own flash flooding, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And now we're going to go ahead and show you guys that the temperature outlook with the Climate Prediction Center. And as you guys see, excuse me guys, and as you guys see, we do have a pretty big area of below average. Look at that, guys, a 100% chance for below average temperatures across the western Ohio Valley, heading into portions of the Mississippi Valley, and then back through areas of the plain. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some well below average temperature alerts, and we actually do have a high risk for high temperatures, or well below average temperatures is what I meant to say, across this area right here. So that area right here in this purple area, so this color and this color are included in that high risk for well below average temperatures, and that will be as we head into the 17th of January. So we're talking negatives, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video too when we look at those temperatures. And then on the 8 to 14 day outlook, still kind of a concern across the Ohio Valley and even back through the Mississippi Valley and into the plains, so we'll still have to watch very closely. And we also look like we are seeing above average temperatures across the west coast, and then heading into portions of the south. So at least we start to see a break from those very cold cool downs across this area. That might also indicate that as soon as this cold air finally heads out, we could see some warm ups across this area, but I don't think so, and we'll talk about that also as we look at those temperatures. And then for the precipitation outlook, we start to see a pretty big area of at least below average precipitation. It sounds like the southeast starting to continue to see above, and then back through parts of the northern United States either slightly above or near normal. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. And then on the 8 to 14 day outlook, as you guys see, that well below average chance for precipitation does extend into portions of Indiana, and then even back through New England. And then we even got the southern United States and even the western United States included, and still a chance for above average precipitation. And now we're going to go ahead and look at your guys' radar now. And as you guys see, that system that has already moved through this area is now going to finally head out. We kind of get a break from a lot of things. And then as we continue to take this forward, we'll see another low pressure system that seems to be extremely low. This one may get as low as 975 millibars. And then as you see, it continues going down, and then it will go back up. And then as we continue to take this forward, we'll see a potential snowstorm across the lower Ohio Valley, heading back into places like Kentucky, Tennessee, and then back through Arkansas. Maybe even a freezing rain event across Louisiana and Mississippi. We'll have to keep our eye on that. And then same goes for parts of New England. We could see a freezing rain event mixed with a nor'easter. And then as that finally heads out, we'll see another one move through, which seems to be bringing snow farther north again, and then even storms back down to the south. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. And then if we look at your guys' precipitation, this heads till January 16th. And as you guys see, we are seeing a pretty big area of above average precipitation, at least across this area right here. And as you guys see, at least across this area is seeing at least 1 to even 3 inches of rain in some areas potentially gain up to 4. And then back through the entire East Coast, we actually are seeing some pretty good beneficial amount of around 1 to 5 inches in some areas, so we'll have to keep our eye on that too as well, so make sure to keep that in mind. And then even back through portions of California, we actually are seeing some pretty good amounts across this area right here. So like I've been saying, I think I don't know if I said this or not actually, but I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing more in the way of flash flooding across California. Don't you guys remember that flash flood event that occurred last year during the month of January, and even last December? We actually did have a flash flood event occur across this area. I'm not talking about the December that has already passed. I'm talking about December 2021. Or 2022 is what I meant to say. December 2022 heading into January 2023 is when we saw that last flash flood event. It's a little bit hard to explain, but that's about when we saw that flash flood event occur in that area. And I mean, it's January 10th already, so I definitely wouldn't be surprised to kind of see that happen across that area, so we'll have to watch closely. And now with your tide's total snowfall, this heads until January 16th, like the precipitation, and as you guys see, pretty big area of above average snowfall is possible across this area. And I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be above average, but we actually are seeing as high as 18 inches of snowfall in some of these areas. Some areas potentially gain even higher, and then even back through much of the Rocky Mountains, we actually are kind of seeing some heavy snowfall across that area. And then look at this, guys. Here's something that's very interesting, and this is not typical, but with El Nino this can be typical though. And as you guys see, we actually are seeing more in the way of snowfall far down south towards Arkansas than we are seeing across places like the Ohio Valley. Isn't that just crazy, guys? We are seeing more in the way of snowfall farther down south compared to the Ohio Valley, besides northern Indiana. But other than that, see more snowfall across the south, and that does include Arkansas. Look at that. Only Indiana, at least the southern part of Indiana, only gain as high as 4 inches in some areas. And then down here to the south, look at that. Arkansas gained 7 inches. So, I mean, that's a pretty big difference with snowfall across the lower Ohio Valley gained down into the south. So, that's a pretty big difference right there. And now, we're going to show you guys the GFS model now. And something interesting is that it does show bigger storms moving across these areas. So, we could see a little bit more rainfall with that system moving through. And then this next system may bring a little bit heavier snow to parts of the Ohio Valley. It's even a little bit more widespread compared to the European model, but then as that finally heads out, we'll see another one potentially move through that kind of sets up a little bit weird. As you guys see, it kind of sets up into like a straight line of snowfall and then just continue straight east. Isn't that kind of a little bit weird? So I mean whether that storm is like that or not, we will kind of just see a big line of storms. And then as we head like all the way out, as you see, a freezing rain event could be possible on January 24, but I mean that's a lot of uncertainty, so we're not really going to talk about that. And now if we look at our total precipitation, as you guys see, pretty big area of above average precipitation, at least across this area. This area right here seeing even higher amounts, even across southwest Indiana, and then even back through parts of New England, we actually are seeing some pretty good amounts too as well. Same goes for portions of the Rocky Mountains. Salt Lake City, at least that area, seeing some pretty good rainfall. I mean, that probably has to do with the total snowfall they're seeing, but I don't really think it's really rain or nearly rain. I just think it's going to be more in the way of snowfall than it will be rainfall, which it probably will, but Yeah, and now if we look at your guys' total snowfall, we are seeing some pretty good amounts across the northern United States with the GFS model, and as you guys see, that is seem a little bit more extreme across Maine, and the GFS model is actually showing another inch or two occurring across portions of southwest Indiana, gained up here into places like Bloomington, Indiana, seeing about 6 inches of snowfall at the most, and then even gain excuse me, guys, I'm a little bit congested, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, we are seeing some pretty good snowfall across northern Indiana, heading into the Great Lakes region, and then back through parts of the New England area. It looks like this may be a little bit more extreme than what's expected. And now, if we look at your guys' temperature outlook or temperature anomalies, either one, we actually are seeing a pretty big cool down that's going to be moving through. And as you guys see, we continue to stay above for a little bit longer, and then we'll start to see that cold front move through. And as you guys see, our cold temperatures drop significantly, at least below zero. Look at that, -8 degrees as far down south as Indiana. Look at that, guys. Isn't that just crazy? Look at that. Tennessee, 1 degrees. Whoa. Whoa. Look at that, guys. 28 degrees in Louisiana. Let's continue to take this forward and see what happens. Let's see if this cold air will move farther down south. And it doesn't sound like it will, but I mean, wow. That's a really big Arctic blast, by the way. Look at that. 50 degrees in Florida, which might be a little bit typical at times, but probably not though. And I mean, that's just crazy. Holy crap. So I mean, lots of areas that don't usually see warm temperatures are actually seeing freezing temperatures, or I mean temperatures that usually see warm temperatures are seeing freezing temperatures, and that does include the New Orleans area. Look at that, 32 in New Orleans. So I mean, not very typical, is it? So we'll have to really watch closely. But thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. We'll continue to keep you guys updated. It was a little bit hard to explain some of this weather, so I do apologize for that. But thank you guys very much for watching, and I will do one tomorrow.